Villagers, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all.
Nigerians are demanding their crown back. As I'm talking to you, all Nigerians are on the street demanding their crown back from Chidimma. This girl that I call Chidimma is trending on social media because of what? Because she was born in South Africa and raised in South Africa. Now she went for a beauty contest, whereas at the long run they discover that she's not a South African, that her father is a Nigerian, her mother from Mozambique. Now they drop her from that beauty contest. So this opportunity happens to come to Nigeria, whereas they are crowning Miss Universe. Now she came back to Nigeria. Nigerians gave her that opportunity and she won and became the queen. Do you know what she did? She left Nigeria and traveled back to South Africa, whereas she knew what is going on between South Africa and other African nationals. But she won that and carried Nigerian crown and ran back to South Africa. As I'm talking to you right now, the South African authority, they are on her case because of they say that she is an illegal immigrant in their country. Now some South Africans are jubilating and they are saying, how can this girl won this thing in Nigeria and also coming back to her country? That means South Africa is a good country for so many people to come and live. I will allow you guys to watch this video and hear from yourself and be the judge on the comment section, because this Chidimma matter. Now, wow, peace out, ciao.
And you know, some of these things, we can't escape them, guys. I don't know if you've seen the case of Chidimma Adetshina. Chidimma is back in South Africa. Chidimma wants to fight staying in South Africa. And I'm not going to wax lyrical about it too much today. But it, for me, not even about us, right? About the Nigerians that supported her. Remember how Nigeria went as far as breaking their own laws to accommodate her and make sure that she wins a beauty pageant after everything that they've done for Chidimma Adetshina. Now she says, no, I don't want to stay there. I want to stay in South Africa. But also for me, the other aspect of Chidimma is South Africa must be a very nice place to live at, guys. South Africa must be a very nice, despite everything else that everybody's saying about us. For somebody to even go to our own courts to try and fight to stay in our country, yet she is Miss Universe Nigeria. Interesting, isn't it? Let's talk.
So guys, I was just scrolling through the internet and I saw a particular video that had been trending about this Chidimma girl. And I want to ask this question. Chidimma, why are you fighting so hard? Why are you just fighting so hard to be South African? Okay, I understand fully well that you are a brand and you work with international companies and you want to clear your names. That is understandable, but why are you fighting so hard to remain? I also heard that Nigerians have rejected you. They asked you to bring back their crown. South Africans reject you, Nigerians reject you. Where will you be? In fact, I don't know. You should be regretting the day you went to represent Nigeria. You should have just stayed in South Africa and remained there quietly. But all the same, I think if you're born in a particular country, you are a citizen of that country, right? So I don't know. In fact, all these things are confusing. Chidimma,
First of all, let's talk about this Chidimma Adetshina issue with the South African Home Affairs. Why is she hell-bent on still wanting to be a South African? Chidimma, I'm pretty sure a lot of you know the Chidimma story. I think somewhere in 2023, she was about to contest in the South African beauty pageant, but her name was not familiar with the South African name. Because her name was Chidimma, so South Africans rose the issue saying that no, your name is Chidimma, you're not a full South African, everything, and then instead of her to wait, fight a corner, and then if she'll be reinstalled back into the pageant, she'll be restored. She decided to accept an invitation from the Nigerians to participate in the Nigeria beauty pageant, which she won, and then she went ahead to represent Nigeria in an international beauty pageant. I think she came second or third. So she made her intentions clear, meaning right now she's a Nigerian since she has represented Nigeria in an international beauty pageant. You understand? So from there we are like, okay, then everything will move. Then she obtained a Nigerian passport, and then she obtained a South African passport as well, and then she was able to enter into South Africa through Mozambique. And the South Africans were like, no, we will not accept you. So right now the Home Affairs have taken the issue up, and right now the issue is in court. Meaning the Home Affairs are making the case that she must be deported. Since she is not a full South African, she must be deported. And also there were some issues with their parents' documentation and everything. So Instead of you to wait, you decided to go represent another nation. So that means you accepted to be a Nigerian. So right now, why is she coming back fighting the Home Affairs that she wants to be a South African? I don't understand all these things. Right now, to the Nigerians to say they don't want her. The South Africans are telling her to go back to Nigeria. So Chidimma right now, she did hot soup. And she also says she's depressed and everything.
I said it back in 2024 and I'll say it again. Home Affairs is trying to make an example out of Chidimma, and based on the recent updates, they might have overstepped. For our friends asking what triggered all of this, let me bring you up to speed. Our girl Chidimma was born and bred in South Africa. And when she applied for Miss South Africa back in 2024, she submitted the mandatory valid documentation needed to compete. Could have been a passport, an ID, something with proof of age on it, because you literally cannot get in without it. And so she was vetted, approved, and cleared. Are you with me still? But this is where the plot turns left, because as she was getting dangerously close to winning, I think she was within the top 10 at this point, someone, could have been a judge or a jealous hater, looked at her last name and said, Adetshina? Ain't that a West African name? Hold on, because you know I had to go back and look at the 2024 contestants. And guys, the roster was giving United Nation Foreign Heritage Month. Guys, the last names, I read there was a Zubair, a Khan, a Constantine, a LaRue, I believe LaRue won, a Lombard. So for the trolls foaming in the mouth, how did Adetshina's last name, the only one, triggered an investigation? Anyways, words got out to the Department of Home Affairs. This is the guy leading it, who's on her neck, that a girl with the last name Adetshina might become the face of Miss South Africa. So they do the little frantic digging and announce prima facie evidence that her mom, who's of Mozambican roots, might have committed identity theft back in 2001. They specifically picked the word prima facie, which basically means at first sight, not an undeniable truth or an absolute truth, but more like a legal fancy way of saying, we think so, babe. So quick question, what happened to innocent until proven guilty? And I'm talking about her mom right now, because a lot of people are trying so hard to paste the alleged actions of her mom onto Chidimma. Even the Minister of Home Affairs, Leon, admits that Chidimma is innocent of whatever her mom did, because when was the last time you guys asked your parents if your birth certificate was legit? Okay, which probably explains why she stepped down from Miss South Africa, because all of this was shocking as it was unfolding in public. So instead of doing the sensible thing and waiting for a proper court to conclude the investigation of her mom's actions, because it's still ongoing, guys, Leon's team flexed whatever administrative muscle they had and skipped the legal line and revoked Chidimma's citizenship on the basis of, if her mom allegedly did identity theft, that means Chidimma isn't a real South African, and since we don't do birthright citizenship over here, she's a foreigner. Pack her bags. Now look, I can hold two thoughts in my brain at the same time, and while obviously I have smoked for Home Affairs since 2024, I can absolutely see where Chidimma fumbled the bag. I'm going to cover that next.
Many people have been showing concern about how the former Miss Universe Nigeria, Miss Chidimma Adetshina, even succeeded to find her way into South Africa once again, despite being declared a prohibited person on the 19th of December 2024 by the South African Department of Home Affairs. Recently, it has been made known that Miss Chidimma Adetshina identified as a South African and through the Mozambican-Limpopo border found her way into South Africa. She got arrested again in South Africa in June and submitted an affidavit to justify and clarify her stance as far as her legal status in South Africa is concerned. Now, let's look at this together.
You've correctly stated that she was arrested in June after she was found in her home in Summergrins. What we know is that she had presented herself as a South African citizen when she entered the country via the Mozambique Libombo border post, and the Immigration and Home Affairs arresting her at her home. Now, in 2024, in December, she was declared a prohibited person after it was discovered that her mother had allegedly stolen an identity of a South African to register Chidimma. But obviously this morning we're expected to see or hear from the state where it was meant to submit its responding affidavit into the one that Adetshina had submitted on Friday. I mean, we've tried to speak to her on Thursday outside court, but she was not willing to speak, and her family, but she was cheeky enough to share some poses for the camera. But we're hoping that at least today there'll be a word from her family.
There is something most South Africans online have either deliberately or ignorantly refused to understand about Chidimma Adetshina's court case. Fighting a legal battle and begging to remain in the country are two different things. Because right now, Chidimma is facing deportation proceedings. This is after South Africa's Department of Home Affairs alleged that she and her young son were living in the country without lawful immigration status. The department did not just stop there. They also alleged that she entered South Africa after she was declared a prohibited person. So she has another case against the South African government. So these are serious allegations, but they remain allegations and they must be tested through proper legal process. Chidimma was seen appearing in Cape Town Regional Court after she was being arrested by the immigration authorities. Now, Chidimma's decision to remain in South Africa should not automatically be interpreted as desperation to stay in South Africa. A person may leave a country physically, but the allegations, your records, the damages to your reputation can follow you anywhere you go. Don't forget that Chidimma is an international recognized beauty queen. Let that click. She was crowned Miss Universe Nigeria 2024. She finished as Miss Universe First Runner-Up 2024. And then she was crowned Miss Universe Africa and Oceania 2024. So, if she allows the allegation to linger, or if she doesn't clear the allegations, that she walks around with dishonesty, unlawful residence, or misrepresentation to stand without her challenging it, this could affect her reputation for life. It will affect her status. And do not forget, when you do internet click, all you need to check is status. You don't go in for details. And even it has been acknowledged severally by the South African government that she was a baby when this alleged fraud involving her mother's documents supposedly occurred. So, the Department of Home Affairs originally did acknowledge that Chidimma could not have taken part in that action. And now people must learn to distinguish between allegations against her mother, questions concerning Chidimma's citizenship, and the separate immigration allegation she's having now before the court. Again, there's also a legal pathway through which she can apply formally to become a South African citizen. Once she's qualified by proving she was born in South Africa or her birth was properly registered and that she's lived there until 18. So there's nothing wrong for her to fight to retain what she feels is rightful hers. So this case is more complicated than just walking away. And unfortunately, the level of literacy displayed by South Africans online is disturbing because you just read the headlines and sometimes you wonder how many people are actually reasoning. Just recently, the government of South Africa released a list of countries that can actually get into South Africa without visas. This is coming after South Africa have chased a lot of people out of South Africa. And the question remains, why do you want people to come into your country again if you do not want them to be in your country? That is because you need people to help you rebuild your country. And don't forget, given Chidimma's status as an international queen, she has a lot of options beyond South Africa. That is, if she chooses to pursue them. But that doesn't take away her right to defend her reputation. It doesn't take away her right to challenge decisions she believes are unfair. Chidimma is not necessarily fighting because she wants to remain in South Africa or that is her only option. She's fighting because allegations, when you leave them unchallenged, they become permanent stain to your reputation. But unfortunately, most South Africans online cannot distinguish between fighting to remain and fighting to clear one's reputation. It is a truth at the time. Take care and have a nice day.
Former Miss South Africa finalist and Miss Universe Nigeria, Chidimma Adetshina, is continuing her fight to stay in the country. Adetshina appeared in the Cape Town Regional Court today after her arrest for entering the country illegally. Chidimma first made headlines when she was forced to withdraw from the Miss South Africa pageant in 2024. Home Affairs later alleged that her mother had committed identity theft to gain South African citizenship. Chidimma was declared a banned person, but she entered the country through the Bombo border post, and she was arrested in June after she was traced to the mother city. The beauty queen has now submitted an affidavit to the court outlining the steps that she is taking to legalize her stay in the country. The prosecution is expected to submit a replying affidavit before the case resumes on Monday.
This story is crazy, y'all. Her mother should also be charged with identity theft because during the time of this woman's birth, her mother stole the identity of a South African mother to register herself and her daughter during the time. Come to find out, the documentation was fraudulent because it's identity theft. Then years later, you go to try to participate in the beauty pageant in South Africa and you couldn't produce documentation to prove her citizenship, and that's why they disqualified her because she didn't have the appropriate documentation. She couldn't provide the documentation. Now she's going to court to try to stay in South Africa. This was a scam from the beginning. I don't know how old this lady is, but 20 years ago, 26 years ago, it was all the fraud. Whenever this woman was, born, I don't know her birthday, but I mean, did they document her birthday? But yeah, so since the beginning, her whole stay in South Africa been fraudulent, and her mother's, because you falsified documents, you stole people's identity. The mother shall also be charged.
Miss Chidimma, maybe we all remember this lady. That was back then in 2023. We had the backlash as she was contesting for Miss South Africa. She was shortlisted among the 10 people. And finally, they have to do a background check on her. And it was discovered that the mother is from Mozambique and the father is a Nigerian. So she was disqualified. And they were talking about how the mother had identity fraud, allegedly. A whole lot of things went down. And finally, Nigerians said, okay, if she's from Nigeria, then she's welcome. Got to Nigeria, contested, and she's now the Miss Universe, representing the face of Nigeria. Only for her, according to report, allegedly, entered into South Africa through Mozambique, using her South African passport. And now South Africans are saying they don't need her. And Nigerians are also angry because there's so much protest on the street. Nigerians are demanding that she should give them their crown back. And allegedly, she said that she prefers to stay in South Africa. And then South Africans are jubilating because they said it means that South Africa is a good place to stay. It's the most loving place that one can ever be. So if Chidimma is coming back to stay in South Africa, they don't want Chidimma. And there's some legal issues in South Africa against Chidimma. People are also of the view that Chidimma, because she is an international entity, she is looking for means and ways to clear her name. Because if people should check her everything on the internet, all these things about what happened during her past will pop up. So she is back into South Africa to file a legal suit to make sure that her name is clean from all the allegations. But people are asking, why should you even go back to Nigeria? What has happened has happened. A lot of people have even forgotten about this. And you said you want to go and then have these things done once and for all. But according to what people are saying, she wants to stay in South Africa. And South Africans are saying they don't need Chidimma. Now Nigerians are also saying that they don't need Chidimma. So Chidimma, where do you fall? Where do you rise? And people also are saying that if you are even looking for legal actions to clear your name, you don't have to go through that back door. Because when you do that, because now they are saying that you entered into South Africa illegally. So when you do this, like people are suggesting or saying, it means that what they have said concerning you is true. Because why should you even enter into South Africa illegally when you know that now there's these issues between South Africans and then other foreign nationals? They don't want them to go there, illegal and other stuff. And people are also of the view that she has this South African ID. So if she has South African ID, automatically she's still a South African and she was born there. So giving birth to Chidimma in South Africa means that Chidimma is a legal citizen of South Africa. And whatever the parents did should not, if it is the mother or the father or whatever, it shouldn't affect Chidimma. Yes, we all know that when you are born in a country, you automatically become a citizen. And if my father should do something or my mother should do something, that shouldn't affect me. I am innocent. And during that time that she was contesting and these issues pop up, they made it clear to the whole world that Chidimma is innocent. How is Chidimma's fault if the mother decided to change her identity or whatever? So the whole lot of backlash. But the Nigerians are not happy for the fact that she said allegedly she wants to stay in South Africa. You can't be a Nigerian holding the Nigerian crown and representing Nigeria and you want to go back to South Africa. We also need to understand that she grew up in South Africa. Her life, everything is in South Africa. So with all these things, moving out of South Africa, maybe, you know, it is not easy. She also have that love because that was what she knew and that's where she grew up. What are your thoughts? What do you think about this whole thing, about Chidimma's issue? It's a very complicated issue, but Nigerians are not just happy, and South Africans are happy because South Africans are saying that if South Africa is bad, why is Chidimma back in South Africa?